WWE SmackDown Results January 7, 2022. The post-WWE Day 1 edition of SmackDown on Fox opens up with a video package looking at how new WWE Champion Brock Lesnar reunited with Paul Heyman on this week's Raw, just days after winning the title at Day 1. We're now live from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut as Michael Cole welcomes us to the first SmackDown of 2022. He's joined at ringside by Pat McAfee. We go right to the ring and out comes WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, who comes out by himself. Reigns gets a pop and heads to the ring as Greg Hamilton does the introduction. He stops at the entranceway and raises the title in the air as pyro goes off. Reigns takes the mic and calls on New England to acknowledge him. He says he misses 1 week and everything falls apart. He says when you're in isolation, you do a lot of thinking. Reigns says there's so many things he wanted to say and do, so many people he wanted to say, but 2 people, and he doesn't want to ever see those 2 in his life again. Those 2 are WWE Champion Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. The music interrupts and out comes Heyman and Lesnar. They hit the ring as Reigns looks on. Heyman takes the mic and goes to do a grand introduction for Lesnar, but Lesnar stops him and just steps closer to Reigns, getting in his face. Lesnar mocks Heyman's introduction now, and introduces himself to Reigns as the reigning, defending, WWE Champion of the world. Heyman gives him props for the intro, saying it was better for him. Lesnar then mocks Reigns, telling him to acknowledge him. Lesnar says Reigns always has a lot to say, but Lesnar doesn't. Lesnar says he got what he wanted last Saturday at Day 1, Reigns got what he wanted. Now why don't we give everybody what they want? Fans pop. Lesnar proposes title versus title, champ versus champ. He tells Reigns to let's do this. Reigns takes a few steps back, and says it's a good idea, but it's not his idea. Some fans boo. Reigns steps to Lesnar and says this is his show, and we do what he says on his time, and on top of that, Reigns doesn't do business with people who do business with trash like Heyman. Heyman asks Reigns how can he talk to him, of all the people in the world, like this? Heyman takes credit for Reigns having his title and keeping it. Heyman goes on about protecting Reigns from Lesnar, and loving him because he was his tribal chief. Lesnar interrupts and asks Heyman what he just said. Heyman says while Lesnar was gone, Reigns was all he had, and he worshipped the ground he walked on. Lesnar tells Heyman to shut up. Reigns tells Lesnar not to speak to Heyman like that. Or what? Lesnar asks. Heyman, a bit scared, asks Lesnar not to speak to Reigns like that. Lesnar says he told Heyman to shut up. Reigns suddenly levels Lesnar with a Superman punch. Reigns exits the ring as an angry Lesnar looks on from the mat, and a shocked Heyman looks on. Reigns yells back at Lesnar about how the Universal title is his. We see Rick Boogs backstage getting ready with WWE Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. We go to commercial. Back from the break and we see what just happened between Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Sami Zayn is backstage with Megan Morant. He's not happy with Shinsuke Nakamura ducking him tonight and putting Rick Boogs in his way. He goes on about teaching Boogs a lesson tonight, but he spots Jackass star Johnny Knoxville and walks up to him. Knoxville is here to campaign for a spot in the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Zayn rips him for not being qualified for what WWE superstars do, and says he hasn't qualified for the Rumble. Sami tells Knoxville to show him, the elder statesman, that he has what it takes to get in the ring if he can, but until then, stay out of everyone's way. Sami walks off and Knoxville grunts at him. Sami Zayn vs Rick Boogs. We go back to the ring and out comes Sami Zayn. Rick Boogs is out next with WWE Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. Boogs shreds as they head to the ring and McAfee marks out. The bell rings and they go at it. Boogs takes it to the corner and backs off, but then launches Zayn across the ring with 2 big throws. Boogs presses Zayn high in the air above his head a few times, then tosses him tot he mad for a pop. Zayn rolls to the floor for a breather as we go to commercial. Back from the break and Boogs ragdolls Zayn some more. Zayn manages to get a quick shot in, turning it around. He chokes Boogs on the middle rope now as the referee warns him. Zayn rocks Boogs in the corner and nails an elbow off the second rope for a 2 count. Boogs catches Zayn in mid-air and applies a bear hug. Boogs powers up with a long vertical suplex but Zayn knees him to bring Boogs down to his 2 knees. Boogs still has the vertical suplex going and powers up from his knees to deliver the move for a pop. Boogs powers up and Zayn rolls to the floor for a breather. Zayn climbs over the barrier but Boogs pulls him back and tosses him into the ring. Zayn knocks Boogs off the apron to the floor. Zayn rolls Boogs back in, but stops to have words with Nakamura. Nakamura taunts him with the title and they have words. Zayn returns to the ring but Boogs rolls him up out of nowhere for the pin to win. Winner, Rick Boogs. After the match, Zayn sits up in frustration as Boogs goes to ringside to celebrate with Nakamura. Boogs grabs his guitar and begins celebrating as Zayn talks trash from the ring. Johnny Knoxville enters the ring from behind and tosses Zayn over the top rope. Knoxville stands tall as the Jackass theme hits. Hamilton announces that Knoxville has just qualified for the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Knoxville starts celebrating as the announcers hype the Rumble. Kayla Braxton is backstage with the New Day. It's mentioned that tonight's street fight with the Usos will be their last shot at taking the SmackDown Tag Team titles from them. Sir Kofi Kingston and King Xavier Woods cut their royal promos on tonight's match and are confident that they will leave with the gold. We go back to the ring and out comes SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. She gets pyro on the way to the ring and we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Flair is in the ring. She knocks normal people for their normal New Year's resolutions and says hers are history making. Flair brings up the 30-woman Royal Rumble match and how superstars can make history. She sends us to a video package that reveals the following entrants for the match this year: Rhea Ripley, Nikki A.S.H., WWE Hall of Famers the Bella Twins, Shotzi, Natalya, Michelle McCool, WWE 24/7 Champion Dana Brooke, WWE Women's Tag Team Champions Carmella and Queen Zelina Vega, Impact Knockouts Champion Mickie James, Tamina Snuka, Kelly Kelly, Aaliyah, Summer Rae, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, and WWE Hall of Famer Lita. McAfee acknowledges how James is the Impact Knockouts Champion. Flair says that is an incredible list. She goes on about how she has the privilege of announcing a game changer for the match, someone special. Flair goes on praising this person and then reveals her to be Charlotte Flair. Flair will be in the match this year, and says she will go on to pick the challenger of her choosing at WrestleMania. The music interrupts and out comes Naomi. Naomi says Flair can pick her challenger now, doesn't have to wait until WrestleMania, and can defend against her right now. Flair knows Naomi was champion a few years ago, but has done nothing recently to earn a match. Naomi stares her down. Naomi says she knows she's done this. She slaps Flair in the face. Flair seethes and goes to attack but Naomi sidesteps and sends her through the ropes to the floor. Naomi's music hits as she celebrates in the ring. Flair looks on from the floor and we go to commercial. Championship Contenders match, SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair vs Naomi. Back from the break and SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair is going at it with Naomi. Flair takes control early on but Naomi fights back. Flair sent Naomi into the announce table and turnbuckles early on. More back and forth now. Naomi kicks Flair away from the corner and delivers a sliding clothesline for a 2 count. Naomi charges but Flair catches her in a backbreaker for a 2 count. Flair grounds Naomi now, ragdolling her with a body scissors. The referee checks on Naomi as Flair talks some trash. Flair kips up and keeps control. Naomi mounts some offense and looks to go to the top but Flair cuts her off and kicks her to the floor. Flair follows and knocks Naomi into the timekeeper's area. Flair shows off some and approaches but Naomi kicks her in the face. Naomi leaps off the top of the barrier with a big blockbuster on the floor. They are both down at ringside as the referee counts. Naomi rushes back in the ring, but Sonya Deville comes out and says she neglected to mention that this match cannot be won via countout. Naomi looks out at Deville and talks some trash. Flair rushes into the ring and levels Naomi from behind. Flair stands tall to booze as we go back to commercial. Back from the break, and Flair has Naomi grounded in the middle of the ring, taunting her. Naomi fights up and out, but Naomi nails a jawbreaker. Flair blocks Naomi in the corner, but Naomi nails a big kick to the face. Naomi blocks a backbreaker and drops her for a 2 count, then follows up with another kick for a 2 count. They tangle some more and Naomi delivers a springboard kick for a 2 count. Naomi goes back to the top and hits a crossbody, but Flair kicks out just in time. Naomi charges with the rear view, but Flair blocks it in midair and rolls her up for a 2 count. Flair applies the figure 4 in the middle of the ring and tries to bridge into the figure 8, but Naomi gets the bottom rope to break it. Deville is at ringside with a mic. She forgot to mention you also can't win this match via DQ, and the only way to win is by pinfall or submission. Naomi is frustrated on the apron. Flair charges, but Naomi kicks her in the face and rolls her up, but Flair stomps away to break it. Flair keeps control and goes to the top for the moonsault, but she lands on her feet as Naomi moves. Flair immediately nails the second attempt, but Naomi kicks out. Flair shows frustration now. They go at again and both collide with kick attempts, and both go down in the middle of the ring. Naomi fights, but Flair grabs her hair. They tangle again and Naomi hits the full Nelson bomb for a close 2 count. Naomi can't believe it. Flair capitalizes off an error by Naomi but still can't get the 3 count. They botch a move and Naomi barely turns it into a facebuster for a 2 count. Naomi goes for the split-legged moonsault, but Flair decks her in the back of the head, then slams her to the mat with a back suplex. Flair immediately follows up with natural selection for the pin to win. Winner, Charlotte Flair. After the match, Deville takes the mic at ringside and announces Naomi as the loser, and Flair as the winner. Flair's music hits and she begins to celebrate as Deville looks on. Kayla is backstage with the Usos. She mentions how the New Day isn't thrilled with their final title shot from the Usos coming as a street fight. The Usos mention how the New Day had their chance at Day 1, where they paid homage to one of the greatest tag teams in history, WWE Hall of Famers the Dudleys, with the 3D that they now call the 1D. The Usos say their rivalry with the New Day ends tonight. They go on and say they will retain tonight and show why everyone calls them the Ones. The Usos walk off. We go back to the ring for another must-see episode of Happy Talk as Happy Baron Corbin makes his way out by himself. There is no sign of Madcap Moss, but he is shown on a graphic for the segment, along with a mystery guest. Corbin hits the ring and plays to the crowd as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Adam Pearce is backstage with Sonya Deville. Pearce says he's been on the phone all night, and since WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns has no opponent for the Royal Rumble, he needs one. Pearce is going to pick that opponent, and he's been on the phone all night making calls about the match, and they want an opponent decided before the end of the night. Pearce has some ideas he wants to run by Deville and they walk off. We go back to the ring for Happy Talk with Corbin. Corbin mentions how he's by himself now, and says today with COVID-19 you have to be careful. Corbin says Drew McIntyre did not watch OWN back at WWE Day 1. He shows a video package of how he and Moss attacked McIntyre at Day 1 this past Saturday, but does not mention how Moss lost a singles match to McIntyre. Corbin says that makes him incredibly happy and it was worth every penny of the fine they received. He and Moss thought they put McIntyre on the shelf for months and months, but it turns out McIntyre is here tonight. Corbin calls on fans to give it up for tonight's guest as he gives a big introduction for McIntyre. Drew's music hits, but out comes Moss mocking McIntyre, with a neck brace and a flaccid sword. Moss takes a seat in a chair. Corbin interviews him as if this is McIntyre. They go on mocking and insulting McIntyre until Moss finally reveals himself. "It's me, Moss." They both laugh until the music interrupts and out comes the Viking Raiders. They rush the ring as Corbin and Moss retreat to the floor. The Viking Raiders vs Madcap Moss and Happy Baron Corbin. The Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, are introduced by Hamilton as they get ready to fight in the ring, while the Happy Talk set is still there. Happy Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss look on from ringside as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Eric is in control of Moss. Ivar comes in and Eric slams him on top of Moss. The Vikings get hyped up but Moss decks Ivar and in comes Corbin. Corbin misses a big boot and eats one from Ivar. Eric tags in and unloads on Corbin. Corbin gets double teamed in the corner now. Eric covers for two. Moss with a cheap shot from the apron after Corbin rocks Eric with a big elbow. Corbin with deep six for a 2 count as Ivar makes the save. Corbin beats Eric down in their corner now. Moss tags in for the double team on Eric. Moss stands over Eric and flexes. Eric fights up and out but Moss catches a crossbody in mid-air, and turns it into a fall-away slam. Corbin tags in and elbows Eric to take over. Corbin beats Eric up in the corner again. Moss tags back in and stops a tag from happening. Eric knocks Corbin off the apron but Moss beats him down in the corner. Moss unloads with more kicks and punches as the referee warns him. Eric sends Moss to the floor but he lands on his feet, and runs back in but gets leveled. Eric and Moss both go down as they collide. Ivar rallies for a tag but Corbin pulls him off the apron and sends him into the ring post. Moss with a shoulder to the gut of Eric. Moss drops Eric with the punchline in the middle of the ring for the pin to win. Winners, Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin. After the match, Corbin and Moss celebrate as the music hits. Cole mentions the WWE storyline update on McIntyre from Saturday night, which said he suffered a cervical neck sprain and severe contusions. McIntyre will need to see a cervical specialist, and that will come on Monday, according to Cole. Sheamus is backstage now. He has a few shots at Drew McIntyre for being hurt, and mentions how Ricochet and Cesaro injured Ridge Holland at WWE Day 1. Sheamus can't help but feel a bit responsible, but he's entering the Men's Royal Rumble and he will put a smile on Holland's face when he eliminates 29 other superstars to headline WrestleMania. Street fight for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, The New Day vs. The Usos. We go back to the ring for tonight's street fight main event, which Cole says is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. The New Day heads to the ring first as Sir Kofi Kingston and King Xavier Woods come out. We go back to commercial. Back from the break and Adam Pearce enters the locker room suite of WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns and sits down. Reigns asks what he wants and Pearce says he's chosen his next opponent. Reigns says if it's not Pearce, he doesn't care because there's no one he hasn't smashed yet. Reigns tells Pearce he'd like to watch this match now, which means leave. Pearce gets up and walks out as we go back to the ring. The New Day is in the ring waiting as SmackDown Tag Team Champions the Usos come to the ring, Jimmy Uso and G Uso. We see Reigns watching their entrance. We get formal ring introductions from Hamilton. Jimmy starts off with Woods. Woods gets the upper hand and unloads, then tags in Kofi for an early double team. Woods tags back in and keeps the attack going for a 2 count. G brings his brother to ringside for a breather but Kofi leaps off the top, taking the champs down at ringside. Kofi returns to the ring while the Usos are down at ringside. Back to commercial. Back from the break and the two teams are brawling on the stage. Kofi sends Jimmy into the big LED board and Woods does the same to G. The New Day brings the Usos back to the ringside area. Woods brings G into the ring but Jimmy rocks him at ringside. Jimmy drops Kofi face first into the edge of the apron. Woods super kicks Jimmy. G pulls Woods up Tati apron by his hair but Woods nails an enziguri kick. Woods comes in with a big tornado DDT to G for a 2 count. Jimmy runs in and catches Woods in a pop-up Samoan drop for a 2 count. Kofi gets double teamed now for a close 2 count. We see Reigns watching backstage again. G goes under the ring and grabs a roll of duct tape. He tosses it to Jimmy and now tape Woods' arms to the top rope. The two teams keep fighting and they brawl back to ringside in front of the announcers. Kofi gets sent face first into the ring post. Woods gets tossed over the barrier. The Usos pick up half of the steel ring steps and smash them into Kofi's face. They bring the steps over the barrier into the crowd now, and smash them into Woods' face to knock him back down. The Usos pose on top of the barrier and the steps, raising their fingers in the air to mostly boos. Fans do dueling chants as Kofi gets double-teamed at ringside. Woods leaps off the barrier with a double flying clothesline. Woods clutches his knee as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and the New Day double teams G coming out of the corner but he kicks out. We see Reigns watching backstage once again. Woods puts his Spartan helmet on while Kofi grabs the chest plate also from under the ring. Woods headbutts Jimmy and Kofi smashes him with the plate. The beatdown continues on the Usos. Woods takes his helmet off as the Usos recover. The New Day takes them both down for a double pin attempt but they kick out at 2. Fans chant for tables now. A table is set up in the corner now. Jimmy stops Woods from putting him through it. The Usos end up taking out their challengers with super kicks. G has Kofi leaning against the table now. He charges to put him through it but Kofi crawls away, then comes back with Trouble in Paradise for a close 2 count as Jimmy breaks the pin up. Woods slowly climbs to the top but G cuts him off. Woods is hung upside down now as the Usos deliver a double super kick. Kofi comes in and they double team him as well, then deliver another super kick sandwich to Kofi. The Usos stand up the table in the middle of the ring now, bringing it out of the corner. They raise their fingers in the air, paying tribute to WWE Hall of Famers the Dudleys again. Kofi gets up and they put him through the 3D or the 1D once again, then cover for the pin to win and retain. Winners, the Usos. After the match, the music hits as the Usos grab the straps and begin celebrating. Kofi is still laid out in the middle of the ring over the table debris. We go back to the locker room suite of WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Someone knocks and Reigns tells them to come in. Seth Rollins is there and he's all smiles. Reigns stands up to face Rollins. Rollins just starts laughing. Reigns realizes what is happening and he starts seething. Adam Pearce has sent Rollins to be Reigns' challenger for the Royal Rumble. The first SmackDown of 2022 goes off the air with Reigns seething.